All right, everyone. Primoz is about to come on and crush it with us because he went from earning $7 an hour as a programmer in Slovenia to earning multiple six figures while traveling the world. He helps experts, coaches, and online business owners to get more clients, email subscribers, and raving fans through 10 to 25,000 word ultimate guides. He's also a professional athlete and won 3 gold medals at powerlifting championships. That is freaking rad, and I am so stoked to interview this guy on my show. Primoz, are you ready to rock this, brother?
Hell yeah, man. Let's do this.
Hell yeah, he says he's ready. Awesome, dude. You are now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come on here and share with us, man. We appreciate you so much, brother.
Yeah, man. Super happy to be here.
Yes. So we're going to dive right into the theme of the day, which is, let's pull this up real quick. The theme is the art of being, okay? The art of being. So Primoz, how has being, the art of being, this concept of being, who are you being, how has that played into your life, your success, and how you show up today?
Yeah, man, I think that's a great question. Like, I don't think I had this sense of being until a few years ago. I remember I was kind of like in the early stages of starting my business. And before that, I never heard of the concept of being and, how that might impact anything. And I remember growing up as a kid, I was this really frustrated kid. Like in high school, I would always get frustrated at the teachers. I would always be angry. I'd be like, why do I need to learn this stuff? I don't want to do that. And I would be just so frustrated. And I remember going into an online forum, at that point in my life. And I was like, how do you guys find inner peace? I think that was the actual question that I asked. And that's when I got recommended this book from Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now.
Yeah.
And that book definitely changed my life because it introduced me to the concept of, mindfulness and being mindful and well-being. And in that moment, that was like the start of my journey of becoming more mindful of, who I am and how I show up in the world and really how present I am. So when you talk to me about being, I think about okay, how do I want to show up in the world? And most importantly, how present am I? Instead of getting lost in the thoughts in the past and the future, just showing up as my best possible version of myself, today. That's how I like to think about being.
Man, that's awesome. I love that you tied in the presence in there. I love the book, The Power Now. Such an amazing, amazing book. And really, dude, that you have to be present to be able to understand your audience, to be able to create these massive guides, these ultimate guides that you're creating. So why don't you share a little bit more with our audience about what you're working on today and a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, so let's do a quick background, right?
Cool.
So I started my online business about 6 years ago. The story is I was 20-year-old. I was studying computer science. So I was making about $7 per hour. For you guys in the US, that's not a lot. For someone in Slovenia, that's quite a lot, especially for a college student living with their parents, right?
Wow.
So the average salary right here is around $1,000 a month after taxes, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I was making a pretty good living, roughly something like that. And at that point, I was studying computer science. I was okay with it. I really got into it because I was good at playing video games, or I liked doing that. So as you can imagine, it wasn't the thing that I actually ended up doing, right? But I also did this summer job as a full-time programmer in a company of 500 people. And we had these cubicles, that you would go into. You would check in at any time, but then you would have to work for 8 to 9 hours every single day. So I did pretty well at the job. I think even after a month, I got this promotion and I was really happy to earn, $7 per hour, not $6. So that was great. But I remember having this one conversation with a coworker. So I'm sitting in a cubicle and talking to this coworker, randomly starting up a conversation, and they're talking to me about their lives, and they're like, hey, I went and I came to this company 20 years ago. They told me they were one of the most ambitious, programmers in Slovenia. I think they made the first Slovenian video game, which, just blew my mind.
Wow.
And they joined the company when it was just a startup. So this was a small company that, loved their employees. He was working on these amazing projects. He helped develop the company. But then here I was 20 years later, right? I was speaking to this guy who was working in the same room as I was. He was working on the same boring project as I was. And the punchline for me was that he was actually making less money than I was.
What?
And it blew my mind. Like this guy, he worked at a company for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Here I am, a college student working at a company for a month and a half, and I was making more money than him. I was like, that's just so messed up.
Yeah.
Like how can that happen? And, then I asked him like, hey, so why don't you go and, build a business or something like that? And he's like, well, I'd love to do that, but, I have bills to pay. I have, a wife, I have kids, and I just can't do it right now. And, it's almost as if he decided that he's never going to do that. And in that moment, I was like, wow, I never want to end up like that. It's just like, I don't want to be this person with a lot of potential, with a lot of talent, like who's super smart or super hardworking that, joins this company and then 20 years he's in the exact same place. Yeah. And I never want to be reliant on someone else, like, because if I can create the best video game, in Slovenia, like I should sell it and, get rich from it rather than, making someone else's money. Yeah. So at that point I decided like, I want to get out of this as soon as possible. Like, I don't want to work for someone else. I wanted to build my own business. I didn't know how I was going to do that, but I made that decision. Wow. So after that, one thing I did is I joined an online course from Ramit Sethi called Earn 1K, which is supposed to teach you how to become a freelancer. Right. And I actually spent my whole salary on that. So $1,000 went right in that course. It was extremely difficult to buy it because I didn't have a credit card. Like people in Slovenia, nowadays maybe they have credit cards. But like 6 years ago, college students in Slovenia, there's no such thing as a credit card. Wow. So what I have to do is like go to my mother and be like, hey, there's this website. It's called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I need your credit card and I need to send $1,000 to this Indian dude because I want to join this online course on how to make money.
Of course.
Of course. Here's my credit card. Right? But, then I told her, like, look, it's really okay. I spent a few days convincing her and, like, I sent her the money in advance and then she let me, use her credit card and it would actually make that happen. So that worked out well. I went for that course, went for 3 different business ideas. 2 of them didn't work out. But then the third one, after like 7 months after going through the course, actually happened. And this is where we start talking about, ultimate guides as well. So at that point, I actually quit my job so I could, focus on the business because I built up some savings and, still going to university, but I wanted to make this business thing work. And, I woke up at 6 a.m. in my parents' apartment. So it was a dark room, dark, small room. There was just like a computer and a bed and, me more or less. So I wake up and I have this random idea at 6 a.m. Like I can't sleep. And it's like, I should teach online poker players how to become more productive. Now, outside of context, you're like, that's the most random idea ever. I mean, I think. But here's the background, right? So when I started learning about this online business thing or like, running a freelance business, and after I read Ramit's book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, I was really blown away by the quality of the book. And this whole new world opened up to me. It was like, there's not just textbooks that you have to read in school, which are boring. There's not just fiction books like Harry Potter. There's this new world of books like, personal development books. Yeah. And then, I actually remember going on Ramit's website and going through his like book list. He doesn't have this anymore, but he had like a book list. And I just went through all of the books that he recommended that he used to read. Wow. So I would read things like Getting Things Done, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and, like all of those very interesting books. And I would just get better and better at this like productivity thing, which is completely new to me. So all of a sudden, I wasn't this guy that procrastinated anymore. I wasn't this guy that was all over the place. Like I became super organized, super focused. I learned how to accomplish so much more and I became more productive. So that's where the productivity part of it comes from, right? And then the other thing was the online poker. So back in high school, I wanted to make some money on the side and I played this online poker. So I spent a lot of time like in this online community, on an online forum, and I made like not a huge amount of money, but I made some money on the side, which was kind of cool. Yeah. And then I just connected the dots. I was like, if, entrepreneurs need to become more productive, if employees need to become more productive, why wouldn't online poker players want to become more productive? Like, if they're more productive, if they can be more focused, if they can play poker for more hours, then they're going to make more money, right? Like, it made sense to me. So I had this crazy idea, again, 6 a.m., dark room, in a computer. I go on this online forum. I go into this section. It's called Learn to Win. And I just start writing this article. And I called it The Quick Guide to Skyrocketing Your Poker Productivity. That's what I called it. So I just like created some kind of an outline for it. And then I wrote 2 chapters. I remember a chapter about defining a clear vision of where you want to be in your life. And 2, I wrote a chapter about setting goals for yourself. Because those were the foundation. That's what I learned from productivity books, right? And I was like, yeah, that's common sense, but let me share it anyway. So I wrote that for like an hour or 2. I go back to bed. I wake up 3 hours later at like 11 a.m. I wake up and, I check that forum post. I was like, shit, there's like 11 responses. I was like, what's going on? Are people telling me like, this is crap? Like, what are they doing? And I checked that forum post. I was like, wow, there's people saying things like, I'm following this thread. This is awesome. Let me know more about it. And there's like 10 people saying the exact same thing. I was like, wow. There's definitely something there. So that gave me the initial motivation to keep writing, right? So I kept, writing another chapter. And I wrote about things like nutrition and sleep and exercise. Again, all of those things that I learned that I thought would be helpful for poker players that nobody else was teaching them. And just 2 weeks later into writing this post, because it was a huge post, right? I wanted to write all of these things. So I just kept updating the post essentially. But 2 weeks into writing this post, a poker player, that I kind of like knew about before, like they reach out to me, they send me this private message through a forum and they're like, hey, Primoz, I saw your post, I really enjoyed it. I kind of struggle with being productive and, like putting in a lot of hours on poker recently. Would you be willing to work with me one-on-one? And if yes, how much do you charge? And I'm like, oh my God, is this really happening? Is this like my first client? And in that moment, I'm like, what do I charge? Like, it's like, I have no idea what to charge. And then I go back to the course from Ramit Sethi, and I think he, at one point he says like, if you don't know what to charge, just charge like $50 per hour.
Right.
So it's like $50 per hour. That's like 8 times more than what I'm charging right now, like, as a programmer. But I was like, I guess I can do it. So I just said like, yeah, I can help you out at $50 per hour. Send the message. Waited like 3 days for a response, kept refreshing that inbox, every single, day, like every single hour. But then I finally see that message. I was like, let's do it. How do I pay you?
Yeah.
And
dude,
that was like that was the best feeling ever, right?
Yes.
So that was the very beginning part of my online business journey. Since then, over the next like 6 months, I kept writing that guide. I kept like adding more and more chapters. In the beginning, I wrote it every day. Then I started getting clients, so I wrote stuff every week. But eventually, I kept updating and I finished it into this like 26,000 word guide.
Damn.
It was like the most detailed piece of content on the internet. And if you Google poker productivity, it's still going to be one of the top results on the internet because like it's just so detailed.
Yeah.
And that guide to this day has gotten over 200,000 views.
Damn.
Over 200,000 views on an online forum. I had no website. I had nothing, right? And it got that many views. And because people liked it so much, they actually offered to translate a quarter of a book into another language.
Wow.
So they would translate it into like 7 different languages, from Italian to Portuguese to German, all of these different languages. People from this community would team up and they would translate this guide into all of these different languages.
Wow.
So like I was really getting exposure to a lot of different people. And then, this poker forum, they're like, wow, Primoz, you're doing like such amazing work and people clearly want to learn about this. And they said, well, do you want to work with us in some way? Like, do you want to maybe like make some webinars or make some videos or something like that? I was like, hell yeah, let's make that happen. So that's how I created this like side income of like freelancing as well. I would charge maybe $100, $150 for a video or a webinar. And I would do like, 2 to 4 of this a month. And then I would keep getting more and more coaching clients. I would keep raising my rates. So I would, charge $50 per hour, then 100, 150, 200. So I'd keep raising my rates. And in the first year of that business, I made about $38,000, something like that, which was like 4 times more than what I could, make as a programmer. And even like, really good job in Slovenia. Like there's no way I could have made that money. Right. Wow. So that's like the first original story of building a business. And it was basically built around one ultimate guide. Because I wrote this piece of content, I was just thinking, look, I know a lot about productivity. You guys can benefit from it. Let me just keep writing about this stuff. People loved it. People kept reading it. People kept linking to it, sharing it, visiting it, commenting on it. I think there's like 500-600 comments on that post. And, it just helped me build this big business. So that's how I accidentally, came up with the DL Ultimate Guides, which was 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow, that's incredible, man. I love how you just had this idea, this spur of the moment inspiration, and you served a niche community. You showed up and you served them, and then you're like, wait a second, if this is important here, if people are valuing this here, where else are people hungry for this quality information? And so from there, you said that was like 6 years ago. So from there, what was the evolution like? What was the journey like to get to the company today of how you're helping people create their ultimate guides?
Yeah, okay. So there was a couple of things. I will go through it a little bit faster because otherwise we're going to talk for like 7 hours. And you do have this marathon and there's other marathon runners as well, right? I'm not the only one. So we'll speed it up just a little bit.
Okay.
After that, essentially, wrote that guide. I was making money. I think at that point I dropped out of university because I was like, making this amount of money and I just wasn't interested in computer science anymore. Right. And I hated, studying for things that I didn't think were going to help me in life. So from there, I was like, okay, I'm making enough money, but I started becoming like really deeply unhappy. I was like, well, this is great, but I'm helping people who just take money from other people. And when I started to meet more entrepreneurs, I realized they were doing something bigger. Like when they talked about, their businesses, they were really excited about it.
Yeah.
When I talked about my business to people, everybody told me, so you're a gambler. I'm like, no, I'm not a gambler. I help them with productivity. I don't even play poker. And everybody was like, well, you're still a gambler. I was like, are you stupid? But, those are the reactions I would get from everyone. Over time, I kind of like lost this excitement. I was like, well, I want to make a bigger impact in the world. I want to help people. I want to help them with something where I can go on a stage and talk about it, in terms of like 1,000 people or like 5,000 people. I want to create something that really creates a meaningful impact because I didn't feel like I was doing before that. So then I started this blog. It was called Skyrocket Your Productivity. It's since been renamed into, my name.sornet.com. But yeah, I went into a different niche, which was productivity for executives and entrepreneurs. And then again, I wrote a couple of ultimate guides. I wrote ultimate guides about becoming a star student in online business courses, about creating bulletproof habits, about surrounding yourself with successful people. So I wrote all of these ultimate guides. And in the first year of my online business, through that blog thing, I got from 0 to like 2,200 email subscribers.
Wow.
And, I was able to launch a couple of online courses, do some training programs, do some coaching as well. And it took a while to build up that revenue, but my business was growing. Then after a year or so of doing that, something interesting happened, which was I actually talked to Ramit Sethi because I had a lot of success with some of his online courses and I learned how to build an online business, kind of through him. We were having this conversation and he had this online business coaching program, which was called Accelerator, and he needed a coach for it. So he could like evolve it and help some of his other students, build online businesses. And because I had great results with it and I was interested in actually doing that, we connected and, I started working with him basically full time. I worked on that for 2 years. I turned Accelerator into this 7-figure online business. Like they would make like 7 figures a year. Would have like 1,000 students paying like $1,000 per year, basically. And we would coach them on, how to build their online businesses. And I, hired a team. I hired a community manager. I hired a copywriting coach. We completely changed the program. I created a sales strategy. I created a copy, basically everything to run a 7-figure business. So I did that for about 2 years. And that was the next time of my life. My business was really on the side. Like as much as I wanted to work in the productivity business, I just focused on working with Ramit so much that it barely, became the number one priority. So I kind of like wrote some content here and there. I launched a course here and there, but it really didn't do much about it. So after 2 years, I was like, okay, this was great. Now I kind of actually want to go back to running my own business because, the Ramit's company was growing. There was more and more bureaucracy and I wanted to actually just help people and, create really cool stuff.
Totally.
So in December 2016, I said like, look, this has been great, but I think it's time for me to move on. So I moved back to my business. Wow. Now, as I moved back to my business, I was in this weird dilemma when I was like, I was letting go of this full-time gig, that brought me a lot of consistent income. Now I was losing that. And I was looking like, okay, what do I have and what can I actually do right now to support myself? I knew I didn't want to talk about productivity anymore because at that point I've been doing it for like 5 years. And I was like, yeah, that's great, but I think there's more to life than productivity. And I did a lot of thinking about what I wanted to do. And then I looked at some of my data. I looked at my traffic numbers. I looked at my email subscriber numbers with my business. I just tried to figure out like what's working, like what has actually helped me to get to this point. Because at that point I had like 6,000 email subscribers in my audience. So I was like, interesting, how did I go from 2,000 to 6,000? And when I connected the dots, when I looked through the data, I saw that there was one thing that really helped me get there. And that was Ultimate Guides. Like, because I had written all of these Ultimate Guides and they were getting a lot more traffic than regular blog posts that I wrote, over the past 2 years, I would get like 2,000 new email subscribers every single year through these Ultimate Guides. So I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I kept getting comments on my guides, like in emails about them from people that have read them, like for years to come. So it's like, okay, this is really, really awesome. There's something there. And then I was like, well, what can I do with this? At first I thought, well, maybe I could write an ebook about it, but then I was like, that's not so exciting. So I had this idea, well, maybe I could coach people around this subject. So I was talking to a friend, we just jumped on a call, like one-on-one call, just catching up with a, friend who was starting his business. And I bring up the idea to him and he was like, that's really awesome. Can I hire you? I'm like, sure. And then he was like, well, how much do you charge? I'm like, let me get back to you on that.
let me write something up. Let me write up a proposal.
Yeah. So I had no idea and I was scared and I was like, shit, it's just an Ultimate Guide. Like, I don't even know what to charge for that. Right. So I was like, look, I'll help you develop a guide. I'll walk you through everything. I'll charge you $500. And he was like, okay, done. Where's your PayPal? I was like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. And then the same afternoon, I have a conversation with another friend of mine. The exact same thing happens again. They want to work with me as well. I was like, interesting. So 2 people in one day. There's a sign. There's something going on here for sure. Because I thought it was just ebooks, but people really, saw the value in this. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. So I was like, okay, I found 2 people just by chance. What else can I do? So I emailed my email list. I reached out to some of my past clients that, bought some of my past products. And I brought up the idea to them. And within a week or so, I think I had like 7 people wanting to work with me on their Ultimate Guides. And then I also raised my price because I didn't want to just charge $500. I kept going from like 1,000, 1,500, 2K, 4K, 5K. I just wanted to see like, what people would be willing to pay. Yeah. And within that week, I think I made like $20,000 with one-on-one coaching for Ultimate Guides. I was like, okay, this is definitely a business.
That's awesome.
This is making me a decent amount of money. Yeah. Now I have the money so I can run my business. I can figure out what I want to do next. But there's definitely something there. So from there, I work with those clients. We help them develop those guides. They get great results with them. And during the process of doing that, I kind of like refined my system. I refined my process. Because in the beginning, it was just like, well, let's just do some coaching calls and I'll tell you what to do. Right. And then I evolved it into like this 8-step process of like, how do you find an idea? Then how do you create an outline? All of those steps. And then I had this process. And I've also had around 100 conversations with people about Ultimate Guides. So everybody that I would talk to in person or online, I would talk about Ultimate Guides. I would talk to my subscribers about Ultimate Guides. I would do like office hours in online communities, just sharing free advice around Ultimate Guides and trying to understand, why people want to write them, what are their concerns against writing them, what are their fears if they write them, what are the pain points that they're having right now. So all of those things I was wondering about. And then after a while, I was like, okay, so I think I know enough. Now I want to build an online course out of this. So that's when I built an online course for creating Ultimate Guides. It became this 1-year program. It started by launching at $1,000 and then it evolved into a $2,000 course. The reason why it was a 1-year program was because I knew that my primary audience were people who ran their businesses on the side. And they didn't have a lot of time. And even though I could write an Ultimate Guide in 2 weeks, they probably couldn't, especially when I saw like working with clients one-on-one, I saw how long it took them. Right. So we built it out into this like 10 to 14 week intensive training in the beginning, which is like, we help you run your Ultimate Guide or write your Ultimate Guide. And then, after that, I would keep doing like monthly calls with them so I could keep supporting them, even if they fall off track or if they want to write more guides or if they want to talk about developing products. I was like, well, I want to make this complete program because I'm 100% confident that if somebody comes in and they want to do the work, I can pretty much help them write a guide and get 1,000 email subscribers in a year. If they do the work, that's happening for sure. Damn. Like I was 100% confident. So that kind of evolved into that. And then, that online course over the last, year or like even within 10 months of launching made around $109,000.
Awesome.
So, that became my new business, more or less.
Dude, congrats, man. That's incredible. And I want to make a distinction here. What's the difference between an online guide and an ebook for our audience if they don't know the difference?
Yeah, so we're talking about what is an ultimate guide and what isn't an ultimate guide, right? So an ultimate guide can be a lot of things, actually. First of all, what it's not a 2,000-word blog post. Look, like I see a lot of people, especially over the past few years, they saw some people creating ultimate guides. They're like, this is getting a lot of shares and clicks, so I should write something and call it an ultimate guide.
Right.
But like, dude, like it's like 3 pages long. This is not ultimate in any way, shape, or form. Like, no, it's not ultimate. Like, have you looked up ultimate in the dictionary? What does ultimate mean? It means like the ultimate, the
Epic.
comprehensive. Yeah, it's like the best thing out there.
Yeah.
You're not telling me that, your 2-page post on copywriting is the best piece of content out there. It's just not, right? So that's not an ultimate guide.
Right.
What ultimate guides usually are, they're between 10,000 and even like 50,000 words long. Most of them are like between 10 and 20,000 words long. And they're the best pieces of content or the most comprehensive and detailed pieces of content on the internet available for free around a certain topic. So for example, I love the example of the ultimate guide to buying a leather jacket from my friend Peter from The Essential Man. So if you Google how to buy a leather jacket, I think third result on Google, you'll find his guide. Mm-hmm. So in his guide, he talks about everything like, what makes a $500 leather jacket versus a $5,000 leather jacket? What should you pay attention to? Different kinds of leather jacket, different styles. Which one should you buy first? When should you buy a black one versus brown one versus a red one? Wow. All of those things. He really covers everything. And why I remember that guy distinctly is because I needed to buy a leather jacket, I think, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And, I read his guide and I was like, I went to the store and I bought it. And it looks great. And it was amazing. Whereas before what I did is I would read through 100 articles online. Oh, yeah. I would get like all of these contradictory tips and I would not be able to make a decision. I would just be like, I don't know. Like there's this guy saying this guy's saying that. Nobody's really answering my questions. Like I can even find leather jackets like this in Slovenia. Like it was not useful. But when I read Peter's guide, I was like, this is awesome. And what else has Peter written? Can I buy from him? Can I work with him? Can I work with him one-on-one? Can I join a course from him? And then all of a sudden, practically overnight, for just one guide, he became the go-to expert on style advice for me, in my eyes. And he became the number one person I would go to for style advice. So if you check out his guide, if you go and Google it right now, then you'll see what an ultimate guide looks like. So you can write an ultimate guide about any topic. It can be about, fitness. It can be about online marketing. It can be about a specific topic like buying a leather jacket, or about a broader topic like even copywriting. And we can discuss like subtle differences later down the line, but like you can write about anything. Now, what it actually looks like. An ultimate guide, I think you can use it in many different ways. One, I would always use it as a blog post. I see way too many people make this mistake when they think, I'm going to get more email subscribers if I don't publish it online. And if I just, publish it as an ebook and like behind an opt-in page. But here's the problem. If you're just starting your online business and nobody knows who you are yet, they're not going to opt into you.
That's right. Like
people are not going to share your landing page. People are very reluctant to even sharing landing pages nowadays. They get like zero traction on, on like Facebook shares and things like that. Right. Nobody's going to read that stuff. And you're not going to publish it on Google. So you're not going to get any organic traffic. Nobody's going to be able to find it online. And you can trick people into getting it. And maybe, if you run ads to it, if that's what you want to do, that way I think it can work. Right. But if you don't want to, pay for ads, which is why you're writing this really long guide so you can get free organic high quality traffic, right. Then I would definitely publish it for free as a blog post. But that's just the first way of using it. So you publish it as a blog post on your blog, very simple. Mm-hmm. But then, you get the traffic through it. But you also want email subscribers, right? Because nowadays, like if you're listening to this, you probably know that you need more than just traffic. You need to convert those people into email subscribers, to sign up to your email newsletter. And then you want them to, buy from you eventually. And it's a lot easier to sell to them through, an email newsletter than through your blog. So you can use your ultimate guide. You can make a PDF version of it, and you can use it as an opt-in giveaway or a freebie or a lead magnet, whatever language you want to use. So that way, first of all, you're getting traffic to your website through the organic part, through the blog post version of the guide. People who come there might think, wow, this is really long. Can I print it out? And then they'll download the PDF version. Or maybe they'll want to save it on their computer or something like that. And then also what you can do is you can give people some kind of a bonus together with the guide. Like, for example, I wrote an ultimate guide to attending conferences. So that's a very long guide available for free on my site as a blog post. But then there's also this giveaway, which is the conference battle plan. And that conference battle plan helps you prepare for a conference in 24 to 48 hours. So it's like, it's like a checklist. It's like a worksheet that helps you actually put these things into action.
Wow.
So you give people another incentive to sign up. So you're using it as a blog post, and you're using it as an ebook as well, or like a PDF. And you give all of these things away for free, because later on people will either want to work with you one-on-one, or they can buy a course from you to go into even more details, to get the accountability, to get access to you, and so on and so on and so on. But then even then, I think that's enough for like 80% of the people. 80% of the people, if they publish a guide on their blog and use it as an opt-in, together with the guide post, but then also for other blog posts that are kind of like relevant on this subject, and maybe on their website, that's more than enough. Some people want to take it even a step further. For those people, they can make something like this. Like, this is an actual ultimate guide that I'm holding in my hand to being a freelance fashion designer. Awesome. From one of my clients, Heidi. So it's an actual freaking book. Like, I don't know. You can order this on Amazon.
I love it.
So she has like a Kindle version. She has a paperback book version. She has an Audible version. And it's really amazing because more people can find her that way now. But also, she can print it out, give it to her clients. And people tend to take it way more seriously now, because it's not just a blog post anymore. It's like an actual book you can read through, you can work for, and so on and so on. So there's many ways you can repurpose an ultimate guide.
Yeah, like that's what I hear is repurposing, and the information will be available for free on the blog post. And it's like, okay, so you got the information for free, you see how much value is right here. Imagine if you see it in a different format, or receive it in more condensed or more custom, so you could have it like, you can turn it into a video course. You can turn it into like an upsell. Hey, do you like this ultimate guide? Well, I created a course, a $197, whatever $1,000 course, walking you through exactly how to do this, and we get even more in detail. And then you can create other products from that. You can write your book from that. You can use a lot of that to create a book. You can put it on Amazon. So, dude, I love this. This is a phenomenal idea, man.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have this concern, like they're right. So, well, I want to write an ultimate guide, but then am I not giving everything away? Like, will anyone actually pay for this stuff? And first of all, yes, they will. I mean, I have proof in my productivity guide. People started reaching out to me. I had the whole guide, which I thought was everything I knew about productivity, online for free. But people would still come to me and are like, hey, the guide is great. I don't want to read the whole guide. I want to work with you. I'm busy. People would say that. Or they would say, well, I have other questions that I want to ask you, that I would love for you to answer to me. Like, there's always more, like, especially with one-on-one access. Like, we have this, client of mine, Nick Wolny. So he's a Facebook marketing, expert. He wrote ultimate guides about, Facebook Live for fitness and yoga studios. And these busy, yoga studio owners would come to him and they would be like, well, this guy looks amazing. Can you do these things for us?
Right.
And he's like, sure, So he got a consulting gig. And actually, through his ultimate guides, he got over $30,000 of consulting gigs within the first year. And it was last year. That was not in 2012 when I wrote my guide, but it was actually last year, right? Another example is, one of my clients, Evie Jones. So Evie Jones wrote the ultimate guide to writing and illustrating your children's book. So she has an ultimate guide. She also has a guest post on Kindlepreneur, which actually ranks #1 on Google for how to write a children's book. So she kind of like took the guide, made it a little bit more condensed, turned it into a guest post. Through that guest post, she got 800 email subscribers to her guide. Wow. But then she also turned that guide, she gave it to an editor, expanded on it, and turned it into a book. And through that guest post, she also, I think, got like 200 or 300 sales of an actual book, about writing children's books, which is also available on Amazon. So there's so many ways in which you can repurpose this, audio, video, whatever. You can repurpose the guide, and then you can build a course or a movement or a community or, like a coaching program, anything you want to around it. Because you know what? When somebody learns how to do something from your guide, first of all, not everybody is actually going to do it. They're going to need more support. They're going to need more accountability. You can offer that to them. Some people might need more examples, more specific to their industries or to their problems. That's why they can join an online course with a lot more specific examples. Because look, there's a lot you can cover in an ultimate guide, right? I mean, I wrote this ultimate guide checklist, which talks about creating ultimate guides. It's 13,000 words long. It's super long, super detailed. You know, it involves a lot of this knowledge that we're talking about right now and a lot more. Yeah. But then I also have this ultimate guide system, which is an online course. What do you get there? You know, you get 14 weeks of 90-minute calls with me, where I take you through every single step. For an hour, we talk about how to make this happen. Examples, templates, everything. Q&A sessions. You know, there's a community when you can ask me questions, when I can give you feedback on your guides. You know, and then you also have the monthly calls with me. Like, there's just so much more than just the information that's in the guide. There's more information, but also access to me, a community, accountability, you know, sense of belonging, getting extra, you know, advice on other things. There's always so much more you can offer to your audience. And then again, if you create something amazing for them, they'll always want to buy more. Like Peter, who wrote the guide to, you know, buying a leather jacket, like he started out with that. He built an online course about getting your essential wardrobe. Because you need so much more than a leather jacket.
Totally.
When I need pants, I'll go to Peter. When I need t-shirts or shirts, I'll go to Peter. You know, if Peter wasn't helping me out with my style, I'd probably wearing like a fluorescent green shirt right now. And instead I have this nice, you know, black shirt, and you guys cannot hate me for it.
So I'm curious, is there like any wrong way to do an ultimate guide? Like if people just start, you know, getting their information together and putting it into a PDF, is there like a wrong way to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I would never just sit down and write the guide. I think that's a bad approach. Like a bad approach is, first of all, just making a 2,000-word blog post and calling it a guide. Right. If it's under like 10,000 words, it's probably not an ultimate guide. Right. You can call it the beginner's guide. You can call it the quick guide, quick start guide, 80-20 guide. You can call it whatever you want. Just don't call it an ultimate guide because it's not. Right. And those guides can still work really, really well, by the way, you know, if they're written properly. So first of all, don't ever do that. Don't write an ultimate guide. Call it an ultimate guide. It's not an ultimate guide. Second of all, don't just sit down and write the guide, like, or, you know, steal somebody else's format or something like that, because that's usually not going to work. Because first of all, like, if you don't know research about your audience, that's not going to work. And you know, like if you put in the wrong format just because somebody else uses a similar format, that's also not going to work for you. Because what? You know, you're going to go and look at one of Ramit Sethi's ultimate guides, you know, that they probably spent like tens of thousands of dollars designing them. Yeah. How are you going to copy that? You know, it's very difficult to do that. So what I would do as a step-by-step process is, first of all, find an idea for an ultimate guide, test the idea. That's another mistake that people make. People just decide, I want to write a guide about this. They don't validate the idea. You know, they don't test the idea. And then their guide flops. And I was like, why is nobody reading my guide? Well, because you wrote it about knitting that nobody cares about, right? You have to validate your guide idea either by doing a lot of really, you know, technical Google keyword research or looking at trends or things like that. That's one way to go about it. Or by listening to your potential customers, to talking to them. Like if you've done a lot of research about your business idea, you know what kind of things, you know, they struggle with. You know what are their biggest, you know, biggest pain points and things like that. Or, you know, you can go into online communities and just see what's the number one thing that people are complaining about and write a guide about that. Because if you write a guide about something that people don't care about, nobody's going to read it. If you choose a bad topic or if you phrase it the wrong way, nobody's going to read it. Wow. So also, I see a lot of people trying to make these weird, complicated names for their guides. They make these names really long, like, I don't even know examples because they're so freaking hard to remember. But I'll tell you, some of the best examples I've seen about ultimate guides is just like the ultimate guide to solving this problem. Ultimate guide to buying a leather jacket, writing a children's book, you know, preparing for conferences, you know, copywriting, creating habits, you know, becoming more productive as a poker player. It's always very clear and specific. So it's like, if you have this problem, read this guide. That's how it should be. If you're talking about like, you know, the ultimate guide to quarter life crisis and becoming the best possible version of yourself and something else, like nobody can remember that. Right. Like, you know, who's going to remember that? But if you say like, hey, this guy wrote an awesome advanced guide to SEO, which is what Neil Patel did, you know, like you can remember that. That's very easy to remember to link to, you know, and it's much more likely people are actually going to check it out.
So what's your biggest challenge in writing ultimate guides these days?
These days, honestly, you know, it's just finding the time to do it. I think that's, you know, a challenge for a lot of people. Right now, I'm just really focused on doing shows like this. So I do a lot of, shows like this. I talk to a lot of people on a daily basis. Every day I have like 5-6 hours of either interviews or client calls or coaching calls. And I noticed that if I do a lot of this, because I'm an introvert, I'm like a socially awkward person.
No, you're not. Don't lie.
No, but I am. Like, what I mean by that is like conversations like this, like they're really fun for me, but they drain me, right? So what happens if I do a lot of this for a long period of time? I get really, really tired. And if I want to write a lot, I do need that energy. I do need that focus. And that's what I've been noticing, lately. It's like, it's a lot harder for me to be focused than if I had, none of these calls, when I would have a lot more writing energy. So it's like that energy, that's like literally the hardest thing for me. That's why also when I work with my clients and I help them write ultimate guides, I tell them, look, you're doing a lot of things in your business right now. Maybe they're writing a lot of blog posts. They're trying to do, grow an Instagram following, trying to grow a Pinterest following. They try to go on podcasts. They try to do all of these different things and like pitch guest posts. I tell them, look, writing ultimate guide is not very easy, especially if you're running your business on the side. Right. And the fastest way to do it, if you want to do it in a reasonable amount of time and make it really, really good, is to just focus on one thing. So just focus on the guide. Right. How to make that happen? Well, it's very easy. Stop doing everything else. And if people do that, it's very easy for them to write guides all of a sudden.
Totally.
Because again, if you're just starting your business and things are not working, why would you keep doing more of that?
Right.
When you can just stop doing everything, write this ultimate guide, put it out there, start growing your audience, build up that organic traffic, keep getting more people to your site. And then once you have something out there that's already amazing, then feel free to promote it through Instagram or to create more smaller content around it and more blog posts that can then lead to your guide, right? If you don't even have an opt-in on your website, it helps you convert people into email subscribers. Like, why do you even bother trying to drive traffic? So I think for most people, if you really want to write the guide fast, just stop doing everything else. And that's the exact same advice I would give to myself. So, if I need to write a guide or if I want to write a guide, it's very simple. I need to have like 2 weeks blocked off, like 1 or 2 weeks blocked off, very few client calls, just a lot of coffee shop time. And then I'll write a guide. Very simple. But right now, it would be very difficult for me to do it. So that's how I like to structure my business. It's like, sometimes I focus a lot on one thing and then on the other. It's the same thing. Like when you're doing the first big product launch, you're writing a sales page, writing sales emails. You just want to focus on that one thing and not also writing an ultimate guide and, like going on podcast interviews, because you're just going to burn yourself out.
So when people access your checklist to writing their ultimate guide, what's the biggest challenge that they might experience when using that?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's a really good ebook. Like, so many people have gone through it, and they've let me know that they've written it. I think that maybe the biggest part they'll be missing is the accountability. Because again, it is a big project. It's a hard project. They might be stuck on some parts of it because it's, it's hard to go for everything from like, coming up with the idea, testing the idea, writing the outline, writing the guide, editing the guide, promoting it, making sure all the tech is on point. Like, it's a lot of different parts of the process. Totally. And first of all, going it, through it by yourself, for some people, it's really easy. Some people might struggle with it a little bit. And, having that momentum, having somebody look at their guide and tell them like, hey, this is good, this is not good. That's what people tell me, that I'm really good at doing. Like, I'm really good at looking at content and saying like, this is great content or this is crap. This is what you need to do better. Like, those kind of things they're going to be missing. So I think that's really the biggest thing. Like, they're not going to have this accountability. They're not going to have this feedback. So if you are someone who's like a quick start, who can do everything on their own, I think you can use, the Ultimate Guide checklist, write a successful Ultimate Guide, get hundreds of email subscribers. We've seen that happen over and over again. And I'm happy that people do it, even without joining my course, because that's what I want to do. Because at the end of the day, Ultimate Guides for me, like, they're a lot more than just these ebooks that we're talking about. At the end of the day, look, we as experts, or like, people who want to build online businesses, we all know we have something that we want to share with people, right? We have this knowledge, we have this information. And honestly, most of the time, we're not really that good at, giving all this information away. We might write a blog post, but, how much can we really help people through a single blog post? Right. Not that much. And I think if we really take the time to think about a specific topic, that we want to write about, write the best piece of content, really think about how we can walk our reader through implementing every single step of the process so they actually can get the results, we're making this world a lot better place. Because look, I don't think we need more articles of like 7 tips for buying a leather jacket, because we have so many of them and they're clearly not helping. What we do need is more great content that actually helps people get results. So I think, at the end of the day, even if you write an ultimate guide with my free advice, which I would absolutely love, and definitely let me know if you do it, then you're making a big difference in other people's lives. And, it's going to make me super happy.
Do you see the ultimate guide being relevant for a long time to come? Or do you think at some point it won't be as useful? Will the market be saturated? Anything like that?
Do you see books being relevant in a couple of years?
Yes.
Ultimate Guide is technically a book, right? I mean, I've shown you one. Yeah. So it's like, that's why I say to the people who ask that question, it's like, look, like great content, people love great content. Movies, we love great movies. We don't like crappy movies. We love great movies. We don't like, crappy books. We love great books. And it's easier than ever to write books, nowadays. And we still keep reading them more and more. I do think Ultimate Guides, because they're so versatile, because they are so similar to a book, they're going to be relevant forever. Will they be called Ultimate Guides? Maybe they'll be called that, maybe something else. But, it's basically with an Ultimate Guide, you learn how to create great content. Every single person that goes through my course, I can trust with writing a really good blog post or a guest post or anything. Because going through this big project through an Ultimate Guide helps them really become great writers. And it makes sense. Because a lot of people, when they start their online businesses, if they write like a few blog posts at like 500 words, you don't really know how to become a great writer. But through like these Ultimate Guides, you learn how to validate ideas for your guides. You learn how to outline, which is a valuable writing skill. You learn how to write. You learn how to do research, like competitive analysis, customer research. You learn to do all those things. You learn how to write well. You learn how to write stories. You learn how to write actionable steps. You learn how to edit. You learn how to promote your content. You learn all the crucial skills that you need to become a great writer. And what I've noticed is like every single person that has written Ultimate Guides, there's so much better writers. And guess what? If you want to build an online business, you need to be a great writer. Because you can use that writing for your sales emails, sales pages, writing more content, guest posts. Again, a lot of people that joined my course before, they were kind of intimidated by writing a 3,000-word blog post or a guest post. Now they're like, are you kidding me? I've written 25,000 words, right? I know how to write a 3,000-word guest post. That's easy. Yes. And that's what I think it should feel like. And the reason why that works is very simple. Because when you go through this guide, when you spend like, a few weeks or like, a few months working on this guide, and you take the time to go through these things, you get like so much practice done. Like with free blog posts, you're not getting any practice done. But when you write like 20,000 words, you're getting so much practice done for all of these different things. You just learn the skill of becoming a great writer. Yeah. So first of all, you can write more Ultimate Guides, or you can write a book even, that's what you can do as the next step. Because you're like, okay, I know how to write a quarter of the book. It's not that hard to go from there to write an actual book. So you're going to learn the skill that's going to help you in business for sure.
Perfect. And for like, what's the optimal person who should write a ultimate guide? Like at what position in their business, what income, what level of influence, what level of reputation, who would be like the optimal person to write an ultimate guide?
So I think ultimate guides are amazing for a couple of different groups of people. One, definitely people who are just starting out. I think ultimate guides are one of the best ways to jumpstart an online business. That's because when you're just starting out, like nobody knows who you are. Nobody trusts you yet. You don't have a following yet, and you have to build that. And with an ultimate guide, the biggest benefit of it, one of the biggest benefits is that you don't have to say you're the expert. You show people you're the expert. You're like, look, here's this thing, here's everything I know. Then you can decide whether you want to work with me or not. So whether you want to start a freelance business, a coaching business, a consulting business, whether you want to create online courses, you can use the Ultimate Guides to do that. We have like so many case studies of people, like Michelle, international development expert. She wrote this Ultimate Guide to finding a job in international development. Within 6 weeks, she went from having no website to having 1,500 email subscribers.
Wow.
That's like a lot better than I did the first time around.
That's crushing it.
Yeah, it's like, of course, she wrote the guide before that, which took her, quite a lot of time. But then within publishing it, like within 6 weeks, she got to that. Another example is, Ula, who's celebrity makeup artist. She wrote her Ultimate Guide to making money with makeup in the film industry. She published her guide within 2 weeks, 1,300 email subscribers. And honestly, like you just don't see results like this anywhere else.
Wow.
Like, I haven't seen results like this for 1 or 2 blog posts anywhere. Like with challenges, like, yeah, you can do that, but then what's going to be the quality of these people? I don't know. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. With free Facebook groups, like, you can grow a Facebook group pretty quickly, but then how many of those people are going to be email subscribers? You can do ads, but then you're going to be spending a lot of money, especially if you're not good at ads. You're going to be spending a lot of money and you're not sure how much money you actually get out of it, right? So I do think, look, if you're starting out, if you like writing, Ultimate Guides are perfect for you. If you hate writing, I might think about doing some kind of a video Ultimate Guide. That might be a better fit for you. But if you like writing, if you write a challenge, if you're just starting out, it's perfect for you. One case when it's not perfect for you is when you're not sure what your business idea is already. If you're not sure what your niche is or what's the business idea that you want to do, we have seen people kind of like refine their business idea for an Ultimate Guide. But then, like, if you're really at a stage where like, I don't know what to do, then you shouldn't be writing a guide. You should be figuring out what you want to write. So that's always the first audience. The second audience is people who already have a sizable audience, and maybe they have a few thousand email subscribers, maybe they have 1 or 2 online courses, and they just want to grow their audience. I think Ultimate Guides are a phenomenal way to grow your audience, like get this new spike, of new email subscribers and clients, but also to get this lasting organic traffic. Because, it is going to rank high on Google. You are going to get SEO traffic for it. You're going to have people reading through it, referring it to other people, sharing it, and so on and so on. So that's the second audience. And then the third audience is people who have these bigger and more advanced businesses, maybe like a big SaaS company. Like we've seen, Lead Pages has a great Ultimate Guide. You have Zapier has a lot of Ultimate Guides, which is interesting. They have Ultimate Guides to things like Google Sheets, which then, kind of like works together with Zapier and like awesome. To customer support and to CRMs. Like if you Google Zapier Ultimate Guide, you'll find, I think they have like 12 Ultimate Guides. Wow. So even if you're a bigger company, that can help you out. Those are, I think, like, honestly, anyone who has a blog, who wants to have a blog or like, who wants to use a blog to generate leads for their business, they can usually use an Ultimate Guide to get a way bigger bang for their buck than just, for writing endless blog posts. If you don't have a blog, then consider a video guide or something like that. But yeah, anyone who has a blog, you can probably benefit from it.
Awesome. Dude, Primoz, this has been epic, man. Let's wrap it up, drive it home. What do you want these people to know? And then after that, we can share with them how they stay connected with you and what do we want them to do next.
What I want these people to know, I wanted to write an Ultimate Guide and let me know about it.
Yes!
That's what I would love to do, man.
Awesome. So what's the best way to do that for them to continue that with you?
Yeah, I mean, we have this thing. It's called the Ultimate Guide Checklist. And I'm just checking if the link is working to where you can get it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's called the Ultimate Guide Checklist. It's a 30,000-word ebook. The best way, to get the ebook and like learn all of my like 8-step process for writing Ultimate Guides, get specific examples, learn about some of the mistakes that I've made with my guides and how you can avoid them. Just go to my website, primozbozic.com. We can put a link somewhere down below.
Is the /GPS, is that it's the same thing, right? Like they get that Ultimate Guide or they get the checklist?
Yeah, we'll set it up because I just double checked and it's not live yet. I'll do that. I'll make that live in a few minutes from now. Okay. So for now, if you want to get it right now, just go to my website. But if you go on it like a few minutes from now, /GPS is also going to be working.
I love it, man. Well, everyone listen to the podcast. Go to Primoz Bozic, and that's spelled PRIMOZBOZIC.com /GPS. Again, that's PRIMOZBOZIC.com /GPS. And you can get his checklist. I already looked at it. It is freaking incredible. And I'm excited to create my ultimate guide around having a kick-ass show.
Awesome, dude. I can't wait to read that one. Thanks so much for having me today.
Dude, thank you so much, man. Thank you for everything you're doing, empowering people to get their message out to the world and really have content that has substance, that has weight. In a world of like so much of the Me Too, so much of people trying to copy and imitate each other, you really are forcing people to have their own voice and their own, finalized product that they're proud of, that they give to people, that grows their list, that grows their business, and allows them to make the impact that they really want to, man. Thank you for the work you do, Primoz.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And you definitely let me know if you write any guides.
Yes, I will, man. I will.
Awesome.
Awesome,
Take care.
brother. Well, you have the best day ever. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.